What's going on, guys? My name's Theoatrix, and today is Wednesday, which means we have a brand new old school game update. This week, we got a lot of changes. There was a few changes to the Trailblazer League. There's a brand new look for the game settings interface. There's new rewards and changes to Castle Wars. There's updates to the combat dummy in your player-owned house. There's Fossil Island changes, Slayer skill cape changes, as well as new looks for some interfaces. Let's get into it. So there was a range of small changes to the Trailblazer League, but they were all very small bug fixes that aren't really worth the time to explain in this video. The only notable one is that the Production Master Relic now works with Super Combat Potions and Antidote Plus Potions, whereas they previously wouldn't work, which was unintentional by Jagex. We also received the latest rank point thresholds for the league, and this week you need almost 17,000 points for Adamant, 28,000 for Rune, and almost 42,000 for the Dragon tier. Compared to last week's thresholds, the lower tiers haven't really changed much, but Dragon has jumped a whole 4,000 points, which suggests that those heavily invested players out there are still on the grind competing for that top 1%. For those that don't know, at the end of the league, you're put into a tier that represents how many league points you got. The tiers range from bronze through to dragon, each with a different percentile, scaling up to the top 1% for dragon. With that tier, you're rewarded with a trophy that you can show off in the main game, and you also get perks and boosts in the future leagues. In the Twisted League, the one before the Trailblazer, the Dragon tier only required 20,000 league points, whereas this time, Dragon is already above 40,000 and it's nowhere near done. This is probably due to a combination of there being more and easier tasks in this league, but also there is a lot more competition for those high ranks with more players. So that's this week's Trailblazer changes. Let's get into the main game updates. The in-game settings panel got a huge overhaul today with a brand new interface, a search function, and easier categorizing. The previous game settings was a little cluttered for new players, but now you can press all settings at the bottom and there's 6 different categories to select in the left-hand column. All of these settings now have written descriptions, and there's also a toggle to show less information for the more experienced players out there. The search bar at the top is really useful as well to really quickly find what you need. Overall, I really like this update, and it's certainly a lot more user-friendly for the newer players out there. So Jagex made some changes to Castle Wars today as well. There's some new rewards in the shop. There's full helms now to match each decorative armor set, as well as new boots as well. Previously, there were only medium helmets for each tier and no boots at all. The full helms cost 5, 50, or 500 tickets per tier, and the boots are 4, 40, or 400 tickets. Jagex also introduced a new potion that you can grab from the starting rooms. These potions give you the effects of a super combat potion, ranging potion, and the imbued heart all at once, so all of the best possible boosts. Also, these potions are available to free-to-play, not just members. The combat dummy inside your player-owned house also got a huge overhaul today with a range of new ways to test your max hit. With level 58 construction, you can add a gold leaf to an undead combat dummy to make it into an ornate combat dummy. You can then add a range of different items to test your max hit with weapons that deal extra damage in certain cases. You can add 500 Revenant Ether to use any of the wilderness weapons to see the max hit in the wilderness, where they have a 50% damage and accuracy boost. You can add 20 Vampire Dust to test your max hit with silver weaponry on vampires, which is the only category of weapons that can damage vampires, and it also gives a 10% damage boost. You can add a Vorkarth head to test your max hit with Dragonbane weapons, which are the Dragon Hunter crossbow and lance, and they both give different damage and accuracy boosts against dragons. If you add 10 Ensouled Kalphite heads, you can test your max hit on Kalphites with a Keris, and this gives a 33% damage and accuracy boost, but the combat dummy doesn't account for the 1 in 51 chance of dealing 3 times the damage, so you won't be hitting the actual max hit. Lastly, you can add a Kurask head to test the max hit with leaf-bladed weaponry, but the only leaf-bladed weapon that has a boost in damage and accuracy is the Battle Axe, boosting by 17.5%. So yeah, you can now test a broad range of weapons on the new combat dummy. On Fossil Island, you can now speak with Peter to turn off drops of small, medium, and large fossils. Some players prefer just to get the rare fossils and usually ignore and drop any small, medium, or large ones. So now if you talk to Peter, you can turn them off completely. This won't increase your chance of getting a rare fossil though. It simply just removes the drop with no replacement. Jagex also made some changes to the Slayer skill cape that accommodates some of the pures and more unique accounts out there. Let's say you were a pure and you had a combat level of 70, but you had 99 Slayer. You wouldn't be able to get a task from Neve, Kona, or Duradel simply because your combat level wasn't high enough, yet you were still a master of Slayer. So now if you're under the combat level threshold, but you have a Slayer skill cape, you can get a Slayer task from them by simply showing them. So now pures will be able to get Hydra tasks from Kona, as well as boss tasks from Neve and Duradel, whereas previously they couldn't get them at all. So Jagex also updated some of the older interfaces, and over the last few years, they've been changing up a lot of the interfaces to make them look more modern and better suited for mobile. In this week's update, they made the skill selection interface from XP lamps and tomes of knowledge a lot more user-friendly with more spread out and responsive buttons. They also added a take 5 option in Trouble Brewing, which even further speeds up the minigame. For those that don't know, there's a really easy way to get the maximum reward points, which are known as pieces of 8. You get 2 reward points for making a complete rum, which takes a few minutes to do, but you also get 1 reward point for every ingredient that you contribute. The reward points have nothing to do with who actually wins the minigame. So with that, you can get the maximum number of pieces of 8 every game, which is 100. All you have to do is grab buckets, then fill them all with water, then deposit them into the water hopper upstairs, and you get 1 reward point for each one, so you can get 100 in literally 3 minutes, then AFK the rest of the game. So yeah, this new take 5 option speeds this up even more. Anyways guys, that's today's game update. Overall, there was a lot of different updates, but nothing overly major, except for maybe the new settings interface. If you enjoy these game update videos, be sure to let me know and leave a like to help recommend this video to other players out there. If you're new to my channel and want to keep up to date with Old School, consider hitting subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.